Hi, I'm registered dietitian and chef Jessica Ivy. Welcome to my Happy Healthy Kitchen. So we're having a dinner party tonight, so we're gonna make a chicken thigh stew over pasta. This is a really easy meal that you can make on a weeknight or for a special weekend meal. So I've got my pan heating here over medium-high heat, and you do want to make sure that you've got pretty high heat because we want our chicken to get nice and browned so that we get that good flavor from the browning. And I've got a tablespoon of canola oil in here. So a lot of times I like to use olive oil for dressings or roasting vegetables, but if you're doing something over high heat, you do want to use canola oil because it has a higher smoke point. And canola oil is also a heart-healthy oil. So we'll add our chicken here. And these are boneless, skinless chicken thighs. It's just easier to serve to people without the bone. We really like the bone. I feel like you get more flavor when you cook meat that has the bone in. You can do boneless or bone in. We just seasoned them with just a little bit of salt and pepper. And we're just gonna let these cook 3 to 4 minutes on each side or until they get nice and brown so we get that good flavor. Okay, so we're ready to flip our chicken. Get it nice and browned on both sides. It's looking good. Okay, so we've got our chicken nice and brown. So notice I've got a clean plate now. Be sure not to use that same cutting board you had your chicken on before. Always want to be careful of food safety. So we'll take our chicken out, and then we are gonna saute some aromatic vegetables in there to soak up all those brown bits that are still in our pan. So I'm gonna let this cool down just a second because we had it on pretty high heat. So what we're gonna do next, this is kind of a braising method. So we're gonna add some minced onion and garlic, and we'll saute it in the drippings from our chicken, and then we'll deglaze the pan with white wine. So this is a pretty basic braising technique that you could use with anything. So you could do a beef stew like this with some beef stew meat and some onions and carrots, celery, that kind of thing. So now that we've cooled down just a little bit, we don't want to scorch our garlic because there is nothing worse than the taste of burned garlic. So we'll add in our onion and garlic here. We're gonna get a lot of flavor because they're gonna get those little brown bits from the chicken. So just saute that up about 2 or 3 minutes or until your onion and garlic start to get tender and fragrant. Okay, so as you can see, our onion is nice and translucent, so we're gonna deglaze the pan with some white wine. And if you don't wanna use alcohol, you can use a non-alcoholic cooking wine. Or just buy the cheapest white wine they have in the store, which is what we tend to do. So we'll let that deglaze. So you want to cook it down until the wine is just about evaporated, and then we'll add in our tomatoes. Okay, so our wine is just about evaporated. So now we're going to add in a can of diced tomatoes. Now I'm using no salt added diced tomatoes because I always want to be conscious of that sodium intake. So add in your tomatoes and mix it all up pretty good. So we'll just give this a good stir. You could also add some olives. I've done this with Kalamata olives, so you can do some mix-ins. And if y'all just heard some whimpering, that is our dog Joey. It is thundering outside and he is not happy, y'all, not happy. So next we're gonna put our chicken in here. And we're just gonna put the chicken back in and kind of get it down in the sauce. And we're gonna bring this to a simmer and just let it simmer for maybe 15 minutes or so until that chicken is very tender and our sauce is thickened up a little bit. And then at the end, you want to sprinkle it with some fresh basil. So I got this basil even pre-washed from our garden since it's raining, but I just like to chiffonade it, so roll it up in a tight spiral and thinly slice it, and you'll put that in at the end. Whenever you cook with fresh herbs, you want to put them in at the end, but if you only had dried basil, you could add it in now. So we're just gonna get this to a simmer and let it cook away for about 15 minutes, and we'll be back to see the finished product. Okay, so our sauce has been simmering for 15 minutes and it is smelling great. So I just added in our fresh basil, and we already cooked up our pasta. Now I'm using linguine. You could use whatever kind you want, but you want to use something a little bit sturdier than spaghetti. So we'll get a nice serving of our pasta, and then we'll top it with one of our chicken thighs here. And then you want to be sure and spoon a lot of that good sauce on top. So we'll add some of that good sauce. And as you can see, this was a really simple meal. It's basically just browning the chicken, then add your aromatic vegetables, your tomatoes and white wine, and let it simmer, and you have an Italian feast ready to go. What's on your plate tonight?